I'm going to share with you my exact strategy of how I plan to pay off my $8 million dream home loan in less than 5 years. You'll be able to take a few nuggets of gold from here, you can apply it to your own property, and I'm not approaching this with emotions, it's purely numbers based. So if you like a whiteboard session, you like numbers, kick back because I'm going to reveal the exact framework I'm using right now. Now, something to keep in mind is that having a house debt-free, while it sounds great on paper, emotionally, it's actually one of the worst decisions you can make when you're attaching your dollars to a hard asset. But I'm going to walk you through why that is at the end of this video because I know everyone wants to pay off their loan and I'm going to share with you exactly how I've thought of paying off mine. So before I jump into my whiteboard, what I'm going to talk about is how I got here. How do I afford the $8 million property in Sydney? I now have debt across my investment portfolio, but also my principal place of residence. One is better than the other. So I'm going to walk through exactly my thought process. And then I'm going to walk you through my process of going in and accelerating the debt reduction strategy. I'm going to share that with you. And then I'm going to share with you what happens after I've paid off the house. Because if I can pay that off in 5 years, I've got the dream house debt free at 38. What happens after that? Because it doesn't look like I'm slowing down anytime soon. So what do I want to do with my money after that? Okay, so I went ahead in 2023 and bought this place, and then decided I'm gonna go ahead and knock it all down. So then I just had a piece of land. And now in 2026, I will finally get to move in, and that's happening hopefully by the time you're watching this, which is gonna be nice. And the value of this property is about $8 million. So I didn't think it was gonna be possible, but I definitely knew what suburb I wanted to be in. I've always thought about this location and I've been thinking about it for the better part of 13 years. So I'm glad that I finally get to do it. Now, how did I get here? Because while this looks like an amazing victory, you can't just go out there and buy that as the first property. What you'd want to do is go out there and build a portfolio. So what I did was early in 2020, so about 6 years ago, I decided to make videos on this YouTube channel. And one of the things that I spoke about was you can go out there and buy the one car, right? And it would be a really nice car. Or I could go out there and say buy all these smaller cars, and this will allow me more choice. Because if I have numerous cars, I will always have the option of downsizing or getting rid of a couple of cars and then eventually coming back in or to buy this dream car while still retaining them. Now in this case, obviously I was talking about cars in that video, but what I'm referencing is obviously an investment portfolio. So what I want to do is possibly have 5, 10, 15 properties versus just having the dream home, because while I could go out there and buy this first, it would actually make no sense. And the reason for that is the way that the bank looks at this is the owner-occupier debt that you take on is going to destroy your servicing. So what they say is, let's say I want to go and buy this house. This is Ravi wanting to buy this house, goes to the bank, and the bank says no. Well, what they do say is, yes, you can, but you can probably borrow $800,000. And I go, well, that sounds pretty good. So what I do is what most people do in Australia is I will go out and go to the max level and buy whatever I can afford and just live in that house. I will go and tell myself that now I am no longer renting. And the reason why that's important is rent is dead money. Now, I'm living proof of someone who's gone out there, rented, invested well, and gotten to the other side where I can go and buy the dream home because the strategy actually works. This isn't based on what your opinion is. Unfortunately, it actually doesn't matter. It also doesn't matter what my opinion is of the market because the market will do what it needs to do. What you need to focus on is numbers. Now, at the age of 21, I had the choice of going out and buying this apartment, which was going to cost me $400K in Sydney, because my friend said that that was a really good idea and I would get the first home owner grants. Instead, I decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to purchase 2 investment properties, and I'm going to do this in regional New South Wales. So while everyone now is talking about regional New South Wales, regional Queensland, regional Western Australia, this is the stuff I was doing about 12 years ago. And so what I did was I purchased one property at $190,000 and another property at $225K. Now, of course, these properties are not worth that much now, and I wish I bought more. But if I'm looking at estimated values, they're worth both about $600K each, right? And that's happened in just 12 years. Now, if I went ahead and purchased this property, I've gone up and looked it up, that property is now still gone up, but it's about $520,000. The other problem was that if I wanted to take advantage of the first home owner grants, I would actually have to move in. Unfortunately, I was in a position where I lived with my parents and I didn't pay any rent, which was great. Now I know a lot of people aren't in this situation, but that's the situation I was in. So I took advantage of staying at home and helping out wherever I could. That allowed me to save as much as I could, but while some people are in this position, they go and blow their money on just getting a new car because they want to flex, or you want to go on holidays when really you should just buckle down for the next couple of years, get your investment property, and then the investment property will pay for your holidays, which is what I did. So what's happened is for the last 12 years, all I've done is buy investment properties, right? Now, 5 years ago, I did have the option of buying my dream home. I said, okay, I can go down the path now that I've got the investment properties, let me buy the house. At the time, I could have bought a place for $2 million. Instead, I decided, no, I'll continue doing the plan. There's no pressure here. And my partner was also saying, look, let's just buy investment properties. We know the strategy works. Let's continue renting. So while I could have gone out there and bought this one property for $2 million, I decided I'm going to buy 4 properties at $500K each, and that portfolio is worth a hell of a lot more. Now, all I'm doing is creating further options for myself. So that's just to explain exactly how I got there. Now that I'm here, I have now the option of saying, okay, I've got this investment portfolio, which is of multiple properties, but I've also got the dream house now. Now, believe it or not, the dream house, while it looks like you've done all the hard work starts now because my repayments are close to about $40,000 per month, which again is not fun. But if I just went ahead and rented something like that, I could probably be paying closer to about $15K a month. And that's why I say that you should rent, not go out there and buy a dream home. Now, of course, this is now becoming a really big emotional decision for myself. I wanted to go out there and said, look, money will come and go. I can continue investing in properties, but I had the choice to do this 5 years ago. It is happening right now. Now, the timing's worked out quite well because now I'm expecting my first child. And again, I'm not sure where you're watching this, but in 2026, I will be a father, which is pretty crazy. So what I said to myself was, okay, before I have the child, I want to be moving into my own home. But I also didn't want to buy a home and then just adjust to it. I wanted the whole works. So we went out and decided, okay, we're going to build this house. And for the better part of 2 years, we've gone out and built this luxury home. So now that I've got the property, I've now got to figure out how do I repay it. But not only pay it down, if I make this $40,000 a month for repayments, I've got to do that for 30 years, okay, which is pretty crazy. Now, I've worked out the numbers and I said, if I go and pay more towards the property, let's say I put $2,000 per month towards paying off the home loan, how much time could I save? And I'm saving less than a couple of years, right? So that's really not going to help because in 30 years time, I'm going to be 63, which is pretty crazy. So instead, what I decided to do was I said, okay, well, if I go and pay extra towards this, think about this extra $2,000. I would have to go and pay myself about $4,000 per month from my company. So SP pays me a wage. Hello, Ravi, pays me a wage, and then I get taxed about 45%, and I'm going to be left with about $2,000 that now goes into the mortgage. Now I can effectively pay off my mortgage in less than 30 years, and effectively all I've done is save myself about 3 to 5 years, which is really annoying. So I thought, what else could I actually do? Well, I have this investment portfolio. And so what we're going to do is we say, okay, if the investment portfolio is worth $20 million, and I realize these numbers don't really align with everyone that's watching, but the reason I show you this is because I started with a 190K property. And right now that equivalent is probably a 500K property. So yes, while things are harder today, it's not impossible. And when I was purchasing property back then, I can tell you now, hand on heart, I never thought I was going to buy a property for $8 million. That sounded absurd. In fact, me just talking about it even now sounds absurd. But the key takeaway was that you start small and then you gradually build up. And where you end up is where you actually want to end up as long as you go and execute and have the right exit strategy. So in my case, I've got now the option where as long as I can make the bare minimum repayments, which is why I go interest only on everything, as long as I can do that, it means that I can hold on to as many properties as possible. And the longer I hold on to these properties, the value continues higher. And the values here, if they're growing at 8 to 10% per annum, and again, that's quite conservative because at SP we do about 12 to 13%, and we've been doing that for the better part of 12 years, is that if I can go and do this, I can get further and further ahead with now my equity. And as we know, equity has no taxes. So what I could do is I could have these properties go up in value. And let's say the value is $20 million, growing at 10%. It means that I'm growing my net worth by $200,000 net. Now again, I'm only going to get taxed when I go and sell these properties, but in this case, I'm just growing my wealth in the background. Now eventually what's going to happen is this portfolio is going to continue going higher and my debt on the property will stay the same. So it's going to stay the same. And this here means I have opportunity. And so over the next 5 years, my plan is that I'm going to hold onto as many properties as possible and not have to sell. And obviously I've got to make the repayments of about $40,000 per month, which is not nice. I'm paying a lot of tax to make this happen. I know that in 5 years' time, I'll have the option of selling these properties off to then go and eventually pay off the dream house and be debt free. Now that is exactly where most people, if not everyone, wants to be. But I'm taking a route that's the contrarian route. It's the road less traveled. A lot of people will focus on, I don't want debt, I'm just paying off the debt. Or they would go out and they have to sell the properties to go and actually go and buy the place. In my case, I'm fortunate I got to hold my investment properties and then go ahead and purchase this house. So if that is the game plan, what does it look like in 5 years' time? Well, I'm not going to bore you with the exact numbers of my portfolio because you're going to go and say, well, it doesn't apply to me. I want to apply it to my own numbers. And that's exactly what you should do. I'm teaching you how to fish. And if you're wanting to learn how to fish with your goals, I'm going to leave a free download, which you should definitely get your hands on. All you do is enter your details. You get the free wealth plan for 2026. So you should do that after this video. Now, plan is I do this for 5 years. I'm going to go ahead and pay off this house. So it's going to be debt free. Now the value of the property will most likely go from $8 million to about $11 million, and I will have no debt on this property. So while that looks like a great idea, having a paid off house is not a great investment if you think about it. In this case, it's obviously my own home, but a lot of people are infatuated with actually just paying off their own house. And let's say you have a house and it's worth $700K as an investment property, so we'll just call this IP, and it's got zero debt. Now that looks great on paper, but what's it actually growing at? And let's say you get the average growth of about 8% in Australia. So you're getting 8% as a return to hold onto this property. Now, in this case, the cash that you have tied up is $700K. This is where you talk about ETFs or shares versus property. You'd say there's a lot more that could go wrong with this versus just taking a passive approach. And what I could do is just buy shares, right? And shares will grow at about 10%. And that is actually a better investment than me going in and hoping this property grows by 8%. So while it looks great on paper that you have a debt-free house, obviously you're going to earn some income from here as well. Once you factor in the income versus the dividends you earn from shares, you might find out that you probably want to put 50% here and 50% here, but you have more choice here versus here, because with shares you can pay off a bit, whereas the property you have the one, which is why I like having multiple properties so I can go and do different things. But again, it's very illiquid. Now going back to the whole debt-free argument, if I've got this house now worth $11 million and I've got no debt on it, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to do what's called debt recycling. And you may have never heard of this term before, but effectively what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and cash out about 80%. Now this is pending that I can actually borrow that much money, and your income is going to be different. So you might only be able to borrow X amount, which means you can't actually go and access all 80%. In my case, maybe I only get 50%. Now if I get 50% and I can unlock about $5.5 million, I can go and repeat that entire process where I go and pick up more investment properties, and now the debt that I've used, so this money here is now going to give me some tax incentives. And the reason I do that is because I want to accumulate my wealth in hard assets, not just simply saving my money and getting this cash. Because the cash is only doing one thing, and this is what people need to understand, is the dollar is actually going down and the house value is going up, at least on paper, against this worthless dollar. But in reality, what's happening is that your house is actually worth the same amount. So the house doesn't actually change. It's that the dollar is losing its value, which is why it actually ends up looking like this is worth so much more. Because of course, if you said your $100 is now worth 90 cents next year, you would absolutely lose your mind. But that's exactly what's happening. Now I made a detailed breakdown of how debt recycling works. You should definitely go check it out in this video next.